Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session today for Code with Sally. The session run every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check the YouTube channel, subscribe so you can get notification for the previous videos or whenever we post a new video so you can keep up with them. And if you have any questions, ask me, please. Today we'll continue the topic of the Apex collections. We had the previous two sessions about collections. In the past, we explained what are variables and different type of data types. And we explained that we have primitive data types. That's the simple or the simplest form of variables, which can take only simple values like an integer or a string, single value for each variable. And then we moved out to complex data type, which is the Apex collection. There are three types, lists and sets and maps. We covered in the last two sessions the lists and sets. And today we want to cover the maps and explain the differences between them. Just before starting and jumping into maps, a quick review. The list, if you remember, was an array of values, and each value had an index or an address, and we were able to go and get an item in a specific address by the index for this item, and it was allowing duplicates. Last time we compared the list to the set, and we saw how the set, it's not ordered list. It's not ordered. The item doesn't have an index, doesn't have an address. You cannot go get an item by the index in the set. But the most important characteristics that differentiate between the set and the list, that the set was not allowing duplicates. So we checked last time how to define it, how to use the sets methods, and how to read the documentation for that. And we covered as well how we can initialize it either with values or from a list or as an empty set. And we demonstrated how it doesn't allow duplicates and how if you try to insert a duplicate value, it won't through an exception, but it won't duplicate the value. Today, we are covering the last type, which is maps. Here, if you remember, the last two times we were referring to the receipt. Let me take you quickly to the developer console. For anyone who's joining us for the first time, I was telling everyone it would be good to have your developer org and to try to install Visual Studio Code, because at some point we'll switch from developer console to Visual Studio Code. Let me open the developer console. You go to the gear here and you click on developer console. And let's see or refresh our memory how we did the list and sets, like while talking about the grocery example that we have. So what we have here was a fake receipt. I have a column for the quantities and the items, and each item, the price for the items we bought. The first one, you have cheese, 3 chicken soup, pizza, bread, and chicken. When we presented that in a list, we created a list of string, and then we tried to we inserted the items that the user got. So we got cheese, then we inserted 3 times chicken, because that's the quantity we have. Then we got 2 pizzas, then the bread, and then the chicken. So that's how we could represent the receipt in that term of like a list. And then we took it to the next step last time, and we said, okay, I don't care about the quantities or how many times we bought an item. I just want the unique values or the distinct values of what you bought, the items, without the quantities. And that took us to the sets. And when you define a set, you enter, for example, that I have a cheese, and then that I bought chicken soup, but only once, then the pizza, only once, then the bread, and then the chicken. So that's just a quick summary, how it looks like the list and sets. And today we want to look into the maps and see how we can present as well the example for the receipt here in a map. But in general, for example, now if I want to ask you, how many chicken soup did you buy from the set? Can I tell how many chicken soup I bought? I can't, because there's nothing, the chicken soup is not repeated, it's only once, and there is no other values to tell me. So with the set, I cannot tell such information. With the list, I can tell if I will count how many times I have the chicken soup, because it allows duplicates. But is it an easy, like if I have a list of 100 items and I want to see how many chicken soup or how many pizza, or if it's a list of accounts for contacts, can I say how many contacts are the same? Account one, how many times appeared in the list? Or give you such information easily without counting the repetition? The answer is no, because there is no, the list is a list of items, but each item or each entry is one item, like one string, and the same with the set. With the map, we have a key value pair. So it's more advanced or more complex than just a list or a set, where we have only one item for each entry. Here we have a key and a value. So the key can be the item name, for example, the cheese, and the value can be my quantity 1. Or the chicken soup can be my key, and the value can be I have 3. Or I can choose that the key is the chicken soup, and the value I want the price. I don't care about the quantity. I want to be able to go and get me the price for the bread quickly. So it's a key value pair. This is the first time we work with key value pair. Lists and sets were just one item for each entry. The keys are required to be unique. So you cannot have multiple chicken soup. If the key is the item name, I will have only one item with that key. It won't be repeated. So that's kind of similar of the set. It doesn't allow duplicates. Here in the keys as well, it doesn't allow duplicates, but the values can allow duplicates, no problem. So if I have the bread, I have the quantity will be 1 in the value. If I have the chicken as the key, I will have the quantity as 1 again. So the value allow duplicates. The key is the one that doesn't allow duplicates. When do we use maps? Maps are used when you want to have a quick access for a data. For example, I want to have my students and their phone numbers. So if someone asks me quickly my Sally phone number, I have her name, I can go get the phone number quickly. So it's always ideal, or it's used whenever we want to get data quickly, and we have a key that identifies the item that we are looking for. And again, it's useful. You will see it when we go to triggers and more complex code. You'll find that you will rely on the maps more frequent. So let's go next here. That's in general the idea, or the difference between the maps, key, sets, and lists. Any questions before we go into how we define it and see it in action? Let me see. Any questions?
I imagine you'll get to them later, like things like, are there tuples in this and stuff like that, you know. What kind of methods, what kind of, you know.
Sorry, your voice is not
So
clear.
just,
Can you repeat?
oh, is that working?
It is, yeah, it's a bit
Just go
low.
ahead.
I don't know if it's the audio problem from my end or no.
It's okay. Just go ahead and continue. It's all
Uh,
right. We're all good.
I think you were asking about the methods, right?
Right.
Okay, so we'll see how we can initialize or define a map first. And after that, we'll go into the methods after that. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So the first thing, because as Rob said, like we covered in the primitive data types, in the list, in the sets, each of those are considered a class in Salesforce, and they have their own methods that we saw how we can use them. In the maps, we have as well methods, and we'll look into it. Just we will see first how we can define the map and how we can use the most important methods, which is the put and the get. So the first thing is how to initialize. Let's go to the developer console and let me we'll do the initialization as well. And here you'll see we have the map, which is the key. And then between the small, less than and greater than, we used to have in the list and sets only one data type. Now, because we have a key and a value pair, we have two data types. The first is the key data type, and then the second is the value data type. And then, like any variable, we give it a name, and then here we have to call the constructor that's we covered in the list and the sets to initialize my map as an empty map first, because I cannot use it without being initialized. And we saw when we were working with the list and the sets, if we opted out from creating the constructor and using the constructor to create an empty collection, it causes errors. So let's try this here. I will comment this now and we'll go later to it. But here, we said, here we want the map definition. We have map, key data type, and we said value data type between the smaller and greater than, and here map name, and then here the constructor, which is doing the initialization for us. Data type here, and value data type. That's the syntax. Let's try it. So the keyword map, that's a must. We must have it. And that's we saw it when we were doing a list or a set. We started with the keyword that tells me which type of collection I'm creating. Here I do the greater and less than. Here, let's say I will do a map to put names of the students, and the value will be their age. So I want to have student name as a key and student age as value. Okay, so that's here to help us, and that's usually what you would do. You want to think out loud. What are the values you want to keep it as the key of the set of the map, and what's the values you want to store in the value? So you can decide of the data type of the key and the data type of the value. So the student name here, it will be string, and because it's an Sally, Adam, so it's always a string. So that's why I chose data type string for the key. For the value, it can be decimal if we want. And then here, that's how I define that I want to create a map with a key string and a value of decimal. And I will give it name here. So here I can have map student age. I can stop like that. But at this point, if I print it, system.debug, check map student age. Can anyone tell me if I run this now, what will be printed here? Any volunteer?
Nothing.
Okay.
You'll say check map student age.
I will see check map student age,
Repeat.
but then instead of the map student age, because it's nothing and it's empty and I didn't initialize it as an empty map yet,
Null
it
point
will be null.
expected. Null.
Yeah. So it will be null here. So let's execute it and see. When I execute, I press debug only to see my debug statements only. Here I saw the value is null. And that's why the initialization in using the constructor after here is very essential, because later on, if I try to use the methods to insert items in the list, in the map, and it's null, it will give me a null pointer exception, and I cannot add items to the map. So I need to initialize it first as an empty maps. To do that, I do new, and I have to repeat map, the keyword. Can I do here decimal like that and string and run it? Can we do that?
No.
No, they need to match. Yeah.
They need to match, exactly. Because if I define here that the key is a string and the value is a decimal, I cannot switch them here or change it to an integer. They have to match. Just for anyone who's curious, if I try to execute, it would tell me that I have an issue at line 14, illegal assignment from map decimal and string to map string and decimal. So it cannot map the two together. It cannot assume that they are the same. So now, if I try to execute, now I will see that I will have printed that I have an empty map. So I check map student age and it's an empty map. So that's very important because sometimes people forget the constructor and initializing it to an empty map or an empty list or an empty set, because we don't do that with the primitive data type, and they get exceptions. Now, we saw how we can define it and specify the key data type and the value data type. The next thing that we want to do now is how to add items to the map. And that will take us to, let's say here, I search on maps, Apex methods. So that will take me to a map class, because the map that we are creating is an object of the map class. And you will find here in the documentation, you have constructors. That's the one we used is that one. It's an empty constructor. It doesn't take any parameters here. And it just create an empty map. So that's what we use. You can, like we saw last time, if you remember, we tried to initialize a set using a list, like what we did here in this. I commented, but we try to create a set and initialize it from a list. So the same with the map, they have two constructors as well, one from a list and one from another map. Now we want to see the methods. The one we want to use is the put. And again, that's a method. It tells you the parameters that expect and the return data type. And here it's the put, and usually they give you here an example to try. So let's try the put together and add items here. So I use the map variable name and I do put, and here it expects to enter a key and a value. Because the key for us is of type string, so I have to put here a string. And here, can I do, for example, like that? I cannot do that because that means I have a map of key string and a value string. But here I have my map of a type decimal. Let's execute it and see the error. It will tell me at line 16, we have a method that does not exist or wrong because we are trying to use put string in string on a map of type string and decimal. So if you get something like that, that means you're trying to put a wrong key value that doesn't match the key data type, or a wrong value. It's either the key or a value of wrong value, of wrong data type. So let's put like that. So I can do like this. It's decimal or integer. Decimal can allow integer values too. So let's do that, and let's print the map here. When I execute it now, I see that the first time the map was empty. The second time, it tells me you have the key Sally and the value 40. We want to add more values here. So let's add 2 more. Let's have here Sally and 13, and here Adam and 22. Can we do that? Do you expect when I print here the map student, it will be okay? Issues, what's the values we'll get? Any guesses?
We should be able to print that.
We should be able to print that. Okay, let's try it.
Overwrite.
Hmm?
Thing will overwrite the value.
Yeah.
Or like only return.
Yeah. So before checking, let me explain. So the first time here, we said we'll try to do mental debugging. So the first time here, the list was empty. So here it was empty. Here I will have that I have Sally equal 40, like we saw. And that if I print at this point, that's what I will see. Here, I'm saying put key value Sally, key as Sally, and value as 13. What will happen is, because we said the map doesn't allow duplicates. So when we were trying to insert duplicates in the set, nothing happened. It got overridden, but we didn't feel that it got overridden because it's only one value. But here we'll see how it will get override. So the Sally value will become, instead of 40, 13 when I print it here, because the key already exists. So it won't insert another Sally, the key only one, and the value will be changed then to be 13. Next time here, I will have Sally at 13. And do we have Adam in the map as a key? We don't have Adam. So in that case, Adam will be inserted and its value will be 22. So what I expect when we run this, that we'll have a printed value of Sally 13 and Adam 22. Let's try it. Here, the first one is empty because that's here. Then we have Adam 22 and Sally 13. And that's what we have here. Because Sally first was 40, but because we tried to insert the same key again, the value got overridden with the second value. So the last value for Sally will be 13 in that case, and Adam, because it wasn't there, it will be inserted. Make sense? Any questions? Okay, so that will cover how you can define the map, how you can put values in the map. The other thing that is important is how you can get the value from the map. If you remember, with the list, we were able to say, I want LSC items of 0 or of 1, because we said each item in the list has an index or an address, and we could get it. Here, we don't have an index, but we can get using the key value. So you can return a value using the map.get and the key value. Let's see it. So for example, here I don't care about printing all the list, and I want here to get a specific value for a certain key. So I will do like that. Decimal age value. And the reason why I'm doing here a decimal, because I'm retrieving a value, and the value is, the data type for the value is decimal, so it has to match. Here I give the variable any name I want to do. I prefer not to name it C or D or X. It's better to give it a meaningful name. And then I will do map student age, so the map name dot get, and we'll use the key value that the key we are interested to get its value. So let's say I want to get Adam age, and then I can print it. So here Adam age is, and I can concatenate the age value. Anyone expect here what will be printed? So it will be Adam age is, and then
22.
22. So it will go
22.
exactly, because it will go to the map and tells the map to return the value of the key Adam. So the key is Adam, the value is 22. So let's try it. So Adam age is 22 because that's the value in the map, and we try to access it with the key. The same, if I try to get here system.debug, I can do it in shorter format, Sally age is, and instead of putting the value in a variable first, I can do, 1 second. I can do like that. I can do directly map student age dot get, and then Sally the key. Okay, that when I print it, it will show me the text part as is, Sally age is. And here it will get the age for Sally from the map, which is 13. Let's try it. So here Sally age is 13. So if you are not using the value in different computation or different things, or if you prefer to combine the two lines together, you can do it like that. If you prefer to have the value first in a variable and then use it, then you can do it like this. In both cases, the most important to know is that we are using the get method, and we are using the key to get the value for it. Let's try another thing as well. So let's try here system.debug. Ahmed age is, and I will try to, yes, Steve, sorry.
Is that case sensitive?
Let's
When
try
you
it
put
together.
the text,
Let's try it together and see. So here I have Sally with an S small, but I have it here as a capital. Let's try. And here it's case sensitive, so it shows to you that in that case, Sally age is none because there is no value for Sally here. Make sense?
yeah, it's case sensitive. Okay.
Yeah, it's case sensitive. And that was the other example that I was trying to show you as well. It will behave the same as, for example, here. I will put, I want to get the age for Ahmed, we don't have an Ahmed in the list. So if I execute, it tells me, sorry, line 25. So line 25, what did I miss? Map. So here the debug, Ahmed, and then I close
Semicolon.
it. Sorry?
Semicolon.
Yeah. Thank you, Jane. And I will run. Now, Ahmed is null. I cannot, it won't return it. So that can be, like, you can avoid getting this error by using another method in the map and using the ternary operator that we covered before. If you remember the ternary operator, it was condition, and if it's true, true value is true, or colon value is false. So that's the ternary operator. Let's try it. Here I want to do one step before doing the ternary. System.debug. Does my map has Ahmed as a key? And I print it here. How to do that? There is a method called contains key. So map student age, and you will see it here. If I search contains key, so it's a method in the map class. It takes the key and returns true or false. So it returns true if the key exists in the map, and false if the key does not exist in the map. So let's say here contains key, and I put here Ahmed. And let's print it and see it. It will return. Do we expect true or false here?
True.
It will
That would
return.
be false.
It will return false, because here it returns true only if this key exists in the map. The two keys we have currently in the map is Sally and Adam. Ahmed does not exist. So this one will return false. So let's do that. Here it will show that does my map has key Ahmed? The answer is no, so false. And still this is getting null. So what I can do is I can use the ternary operator. How can we do that? Any volunteers want to give it a go and see how we can use the ternary operator to return it, or let me show it to you? Steve, do you have a question? Your hand is still up. You're good? Okay. Any volunteer for the ternary operator? Dave, do you want to give it a go?
I'm trying to think. Ternary on a map.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know ternary on a map without having to look it up real quick.
Okay, let's try it together. So the ternary here, I have a bracket open and close for it. Let me do it in another line first, alone. I'm here. I start with the condition. So bracket open and close. The condition, what's our condition? We want to check if a certain key exists or not. It's something that will return true or false. Can we use this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my condition. Does my map contain Ahmed? If true, then get me the value for Ahmed age. That's the first part. What's the value if the condition is true? Then we do colon, and what's the value if the value is false? So if it's false, I will show here, sorry, Ahmed as a key does not exist, right? So the ternary again, it's condition. The first part is a condition, something that will return true or false. The condition can be if x greater than 3 or y equal 2. But here, because we cared on checking if the map contains certain key, we can do here the ternary operator by checking if the map contains the key Ahmed. Then question mark, and we do the value if in case the condition got evaluated to true. So in case the map contains the key, we want to return the value for this key. So that's what we try here. Then the colon, and what's the value if false? In that case, I don't want to print an age. I just want to let the user that the value does not exist. So let's try it. I will take this and I will print it under here. System.debug. Ahmed age is same, but instead of getting directly from the map, I will put my ternary operator here. And let's see the difference between the two in the output. I will execute string incompatible type 28. Again, okay.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Do you have to have a text? Or, I'm sorry, do you have to have a decimal for the false statement since it's a string decimal for the map?
Let's try it, but I didn't imagine that would be a case because I'm concatenating. So let's try. Okay, that worked. Let me check it again. So in that case here, the second part of the ternary is the one that got evaluated. But why it's asking me to, because this one doesn't care. Here I'm saying if it contains, get me the one value from the map. Otherwise, I should be able to return whatever I want. Let me try as well if we do that. String.value of, if I keep the two of them as string. Okay, that's new for me. It's good, something new to learn. I didn't think that both of the two sides of the ternary should return the same value or data type. So what I did here to be able to return the string, I converted the value to a string here by using one of the string methods we checked when we were doing the primitive data type. So all I did is converting the value that is coming back from the map from decimal to string to match the second half when it's false. I didn't know that I should match the two together, but this is what happened here. Instead of showing a null, I'm saying, sorry, Ahmed as a key does not exist. So that's the ternary. I wanted to like give it a quick refresh. Sometimes people don't prefer to do that. The other way to do it is using an if statement. So it's another quick refresh for the if statement. If we do here,
And
if,
you could just check if the return value is null as well, couldn't you? And like, when would you do that versus checking ahead? You know, like if you try to get it and it's not there, you'll get a null value back.
So like a null check before you do it.
No, it's a
Uh,
null check after. you can do a null check after you do it as well, right? Like go look for Ahmed, you get a null back, you know it wasn't there, and then you have to do something else.
It's possible if you want to do it that way. It happened in many cases when we are working in real projects. We usually tends to check to make sure. Sometimes we need to, if you contain this value, skip this part of the logic, or if it doesn't contain this value, add a value in the map. For example,
Right.
it's useful specifically when you have the value as a list, for example. So if I don't have a key in the map, I want to put as an empty list in the value, put the key with an empty list in the value. If it's there,
Right.
I will add or append something to the list. So I want you to see it in action and see how you can use the contains key to know that the key exists. In real life implementation, you need it or not. It depends on the scenario you're working on.
So
But
there
sometimes-
isn't like is there like an if absent put kind of a method, you know, like where you do it all in one shot, or do you need to do it this? I didn't look yet, and I should have just looked, but some languages have an, you know, like if absent put this thing, and otherwise just put it. So
That's kind of what we do with the contains key when we want to put an empty list, for example, or initialize it. Because if the value is a list and I initialize it, I can, if the list has 2 items, I will clear it and it will be empty again. So sometimes before
Right.
putting a value in a key, especially if if the value is a list, we want to check the value exists or not, because if not, I want to put an initial value as an empty list. Otherwise, I will keep
Right.
adding. So it's just a way to know if the key exists or not. And sometimes you really need it. And sometimes, as you said, you can check the null and that's it. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You're wrong. Okay, so that was a quick revision as well for the ternary. We can do another way to do it. It's another revision, the if statement. So you can have an if, and the syntax for the if is if and condition. Let me do here multi-line comment. And then between the brackets, code if condition true. And here else, code if condition false. Code if conditions false. Okay, so quickly here, I can do, let's close the comments. Instead of the ternary, you could have here if map student age dot contains key. And I do the Ahmed here. And then if that's the case, then system dot debug Ahmed age is, and you do here, you get the value from the map, and otherwise else, which means that the key does not exist, you can print here directly the message that, sorry, Ahmed as a key does not exist. So that's another way to do it. Sometimes people prefer to do the ternary, and sometimes you don't like it, but other developers did it. So it's a good idea to know the difference between the two. If I execute that quickly, I see here that I got, sorry, Ahmed as a key does not exist. So again, it's especially in coding, you won't have always one way to do things. You can have multiple ways, and it's a good idea to know how to do each or how to understand each of them, even if you have a preference to do one way over the other. So that takes us here to, we finished how we initialize it, how we can put, how we can get. The same last time we saw how we can, instead of creating an empty map and then adding one by one, we saw how we can add them or initialize it with values directly. So let's do this here. You'll find here that the first part is same until the new here, all of that is same. So let's take it here. That means I will have, I can have map student H2, and I defined that it will be a map where the key is string and value is decimal. It's a map student H2, and I initialize it. I could do open and close bracket, and that will be take me to the constructor that is plain, and it will create an empty map for me. What I want to do is I want to initialize it with the values directly. So I would do curly bracket, and we'll do key 1, what's the value for key 1, and key 2, and what's the value for key 2. So let's try that. So I will do here, you can do it in one line or do the indentation that you prefer. But here, key 1, I have Sally, and I will do it like that. And, oh, sorry, the key. And then here, I will do here, we have 13 to match it with the last value we have up. And then here, Adam. And the value here is 22. So let me print it here. And let's see it in action. Execute. So I got the same output and same values here by doing either an empty map and inserted the values, or if I know the values in advance, I created them. Can I add extra values to the map? Definitely I can. So I will do map student h2 dot put, and then and I can do here, and let's print it again. Execute. So it's a shorter way. Didn't I do it? Let's see. Okay, I didn't print this, sorry. The other one was. So let's do it again. So the student at student H3 here, we have Adam and Sally, and then we added 1 for Daniel. So when we printed again, we saw the third value as well. So it just, the difference, if you know in advance values that you want to initialize it with, you can use this way to initialize it instead of an empty map. Any questions? You're good? Okay. Next is, I just want you to think. I will paste this for you. That we had the list and sets. And I'll give you this image for the fake receipt. Try as a part of your homework to think what would be, how can I create a map to represent the same items we have on the list and a set, and I can have the key as the item name and the value as the quantity. Try it, and next time maybe someone will volunteer and show it to us. The next topic is what we have been talking about, kind of, is the methods. So we saw contains key, for example. We have the size. The size, as we saw before, let's clean those so we can see the methods. And okay. So the size will give us how many items we have. So now we have Sally, Adam, and Daniel. So if I print the size, what will I get? Any guesses?
3.
Correct.
One.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We should get 3 because we have 3 key pair values. So let's try it now. Yes, correct in the chat too. So we get the size 3. So again, sometimes you want to check if you have empty, you have a map of a certain size to exit, you want to see, you want to know the size for any reason. We have is empty. Is empty will return Boolean, true or false. And from the name, it will tell me whether the list is empty or not. And that will return in a Boolean format. So in that case, if I have 3 items, the is empty will return true or false.
False.
It will return false, exactly. Let's try it here. So the value here is empty is false. If I had initially like that, an empty list, and I moved the is empty before adding Daniel, this will return true or false in that case.
True.
Correct. So let's try it here. It will return true because I don't have any items. So it behaves accordingly to what you have in the list, same as the size, but here it returns true or false. So it depends on the use case. You want a Boolean or you want true false or size, for example. Then we have very 2 important methods. One is called key set and one is called values. Any ideas from the name, each of them, what they will return, or anyone use them?
The first one will return a list of all the keys, and the other one will return a list of all the values, I guess.
Yes, except of one thing, that the first one
Returns a set, I guess, instead of a list.
yes.
Yeah.
So it returns here is set because the keys, if you remember, it doesn't allow duplicates. The list allow duplicates, but set doesn't allow duplicates. So the key set return is set of the keys. And the values return a list of the values. Let's see here. This is the method. So it return here the values, return a list. It's nice way to connect the dots together. List allow duplicates, so values return a list because of that. The key set, it doesn't allow duplicates, so it will return a set because that's one of the criteria we said with the sets. They don't allow duplicates. So let's go here and try both of them. Line 1. We'll take this for now. This is the bracket. Line 5. Because I forgot the plus. So the key set here, return Daniel. We didn't print the values. Okay, let's do the values too. And let's add here, and here Dan, and here Adam, 21. So we will have 3 keys and 3 values, even though the values returned multiple are the same. Let's try it here. So we have the key set, return the values as a set, and they are unique. The values return the list, and we can see there is duplicates. That's why it returns value, because the value can have duplicate values between different keys. And we'll see why we need the sets, the values or the keys. That will take us to the next part, but I think we are at time, so I don't want to, like, you need to rest or cook or anything. So next time, what we'll start with will be how we can loop through the maps, but I will leave it to you because we covered a bit when we were doing the for loops. I will leave you a screenshot for it in the chat. But my request, because next time we'll compare, I will leave for you the exercises as well for the collections. I would love for you to try to convert the grocery example we did. So this one, okay, and this one. The example for the grocery converted from lists and sets to maps, and try to do exercises here for the list and sets and maps. That's what we'll start with next time. We'll go through the iteration for the map. We'll check the homework for the how you converted the example for the receipt to be a map, and we'll go through the comparison, and we'll go through the exercises for the list and sets and maps. Usually when people don't do the homework, I skip it and go to the next topic. I just feel this topic is important to know how to use it. So hopefully someone did it and we can share the solutions together. If not, I will see either I will go through the exercise or I will skip and go to the next topic. But yeah, any questions before I stop recording? Okay, let me stop recording. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And let's finish the collection topic next session because we have object-oriented after that. Thank you so much and have a great one.